Okay, so if you remember at the end of my video that I did about Dayton, Ohio, I said I was going to record another video talking about an article that came across my way from the Yahoo News app, where they were basically talking about the various amount of mass shootings that have occurred in just this year alone. And it looks like they're going to be a repeat offender or try to top what they did last year. Now, before I get into it, what you're looking at is a map. This map right here shows the U.S. mass shootings that happened in the states from 1989 to 2019. So basically the last 30 years of mass shootings in their locations. And it's a lot of them. And as you can see in the state of California, they have quite a bit. And, you know, California is a big state. And they're literally up and down they take up pretty much the entire West Coast with the exception of the little bit in Oregon and Washington state, just in that state alone. But this article that I came across from the Yahoo News app, but it was posted by USA Today. It reads, El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio make 251 mass shootings in the U.S. in 216 days, more shootings than days in the year. Meaning we have only been in this for 216 days as far as the year 2019, and there have been more mass shootings that have occurred than days. I think they're going to go for over 300 because, you know, last year I think they did. And it's like the numbers just continue to rise and rise and rise. But, you know, they'll never really address it the way that it should. They'll never call them terrorists. They didn't call the El Paso shooter a terrorist. They're not going to call the one in Dayton a terrorist either. Hell, if they're not going to call him a terrorist, we know they're not going to give him the label of white identity extremist. But they threw that label on us. But we not really out there committing mass shootings like that. And I know what people are going to say, well, the one in Mississippi that happened, I consider that an isolated incident because he actually knew those two individuals. These mass shootings that are occurring by Palm Colored, they didn't know them. They just went there and they shot and fired upon them and, you know, killed whoever was in their crosshairs. Now, let me go ahead and read this article. As gunfire ripped through America in an unprecedented 24 hours, a bleak milestone in the nation's pocked by gun violence was marked. There have been 251 mass shootings in 2019. A shooting spree early Sunday at an entertainment district in Dayton, Ohio, which left at least 9 dead and 16 injured, notched an even darker statistic. It occurred on the 216th day of the year, meaning there have been more mass shootings than days so far this year. That incident followed a rampage Saturday at a Walmart jam with back-to-school shoppers in El Paso, Texas that left 20 dead and 26 injured. The two massacres became the nation's latest mass shootings as defined by the Gun Violence Archive, a not-for-profit organization that provides an online public access to information about gun-related violence. The archive categorizes mass shootings as incidents in which 4 or more people were shot or killed. That's why they don't declare the one in Mississippi with that black guy as a mass shooting, because only 2 people were shot and killed. So keep that in mind, everybody. 4 or more to be declared a mass shooting. That's why they don't really count that one. Because I was like, I noticed they keep leaving that one out, but now we know why, because only 2 people were shot and killed. It says so far. Okay, he says shot or killed, not including the shooters themselves. So far this year, more than 520 people have died in mass shootings and at least 2,000 have been injured. The bloody 24 hours also came in a particularly painful week. 2 people were shot and killed at a Walmart store in South Haven, Mississippi, south of Memphis on Tuesday, and 3 people were killed by gunfire at the Gilroy Garlic Festival in Northern California. So they did mention the one in Mississippi, but still at the same time, it was only 2 people that were killed at that Walmart. Not saying it's okay, because it's definitely not, especially because of the reasoning as to why it happened. But like I said, by their logic, 4 or more. And the violence follows 2 other high-profile shootings earlier this year. A longtime city worker opened fire in a building that houses Virginia Beach government offices on May 31st, killing 12 people before he was gunned down by police. On February 15th, an employee at a manufacturing plant in Aurora, Illinois, opened fire during a disciplinary meeting where he was dismissed. He wounded one other employee and five of the first police officers to arrive at the suburban Chicago plant before he was killed during a shootout with police. Wow, 251 mass shootings out of the 216 days that has passed in 2019. And the crazy part about it is we still have, October, November. We still have like roughly 4 more months, not including August, left in the year. If you want to include August, about 4.5. And you see with the last ones, they happened within the same day, just in 2 different locations. That's like I said in the other video, that's almost unheard of. I think they're going for a personal best. They are trying to beat themselves, but they still won't address it the way that it should be. Not in the way that I would anyway. Or, Professor Black Truth or Jason Black or anybody else who talks about this. They're not going to call them a terrorist like I would or like we would. They're not going to call them a white identity extremist like I would or they would. Because they have to literally have that label be exclusive to a certain group or certain groups of people. Of course, we already know we are one of those groups. I saw someone today trying to leave that daggone stat about black on black crime. They always do that when something like this occurs. It was somebody, I was talking about the shooting that happened in El Paso. Then here comes this troll going to talk about in Chicago, 7 people got shot. I said Ohio. And then some other troll gonna come with that whole black on black crime stat, and they got mad because of something I said in the video, saying that this person, you're just mad because this person acted out on their hatred, on their hate nature or their racist nature or something like that, what they said, and that you haven't done so yet. So you saying that you're expecting me to go out there and do what they did. That's basically what that troll was trying to say. I blocked them, but what they said made absolutely no sense. But trolls don't have any sense. They lack a brain. They're like the scarecrow. They're going to have to try a little bit harder. I don't think there's anything in this world that will make me want to go out there and do something like that. And speaking of the El Paso shooter, one thing I forgot to mention about him, this guy came from a very privileged background. They went to his house. He lives in he lived in a very upscale neighborhood. Like, I saw his house. That thing was huge. He lived a very lavish lifestyle. Well, thanks to his parents. And based on the neighborhood that he lived in, that's what I've noticed about a lot of these mass shooters, the palm colored ones. They come from a very privileged background. Look at Elliot Rodger. He was an incel, but look at his background, his lifestyle. He came from a very privileged background, mainly due to his dad's, working, because I think his dad was a producer or something on the Hunger Games. But even then, he still couldn't cope with life and the fact that most women didn't like him, even though he came from privilege. Same thing with this Patrick Crusius, who got from El Paso, who did what he did. He said that he did enough to get by. That's what his LinkedIn profile said. No wonder he did enough to get by. He was a spoiled brat. Look at Ethan Couch, affluenza boy. Got drunk, underage, and stole his parents' vehicle and drove around crazy and killed 4 people. And all he got was some slight disciplinary action. Then him and his ratchet mother hopped the border because he broke his probation by getting drunk at a college party or wherever he was at, playing beer pong. Notice that, like I said, most of these individuals who do stuff like this are privileged. Then you got to look at your current president. Are you seeing a pattern here? Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one.